Satnam and welcome to yet another in our continuing series of programs called Your Miracle Mantra Moment, where we chant Dandan Ram Das Guru for 11 minutes, and then we talk about some aspect, either directly connected to that Shabad, that mantra, or just in general around several themes that are interwoven into the words of the Shabad. So if you have any questions, please do put them in the comments, and I will be having the comments show up, and I should be able to see those questions after you've put them in. So I'm going to dive right into chanting the mantra. I hope you'll stay with us through the mantra and perhaps afterwards as well for a while or for the whole program. I usually talk for another 20 minutes or so, around some topics. So I hope you'll stick around. And I think that just about does it. So I'm going to start in on the program today. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So, thank you for coming. Thank you for attending and listening and chanting along. I hope that that experience may have helped you during this time of anxiety and concern. So that's the intention here, was that this program should bring the community together and allow us to feel connected. I'm going to read some of the names out in the chat or in the comments section, so so we can feel around, you know, who's here and what's. So we've got some of our regulars, Kirandeep Kaur, and let's see here. We've got Jesse, also a regular, and Rebecca from. Oh, that's interesting. I'm not sure how, it's not spelled the way in Scotland you spell Edinburgh, so I think this is Edinburgh in Texas. So welcome, Rebecca. And Jasdeep Singh, perhaps, or Jasdeep Rai, I can't tell. And we've got, so let's see. Make the impossible possible is what Kirandeep is saying in her post here about the Shabad. And Natalie from Quebec. And Satkriya is a regular. And we have Stephanie Jai Mandeva Kaur from London, UK. And welcome. And we have Guru Kiran and Jazz from Birmingham. Wow, we got a few people from the UK. Welcome. It's such a good time for us to have these kind of opportunities to get together. As I say, you know, lots of people have anxiety around COVID-19, and so it's this Shabad is very comforting. And, you know, you can relate to perhaps the aspect of being in a prayerful place with this, bringing in the energy or the blessing of Guru Ram Das in a way that perhaps turns things around for you or for the world, brings perhaps a miraculous change or a miracle. So I've talked about this Shabad, the origin of it, and the history around it in previous programs. Today I thought I'd talk about the last line in this Shabad because it's powerful. Gurudita Taman Sadariya. And it translates to mean, when I saw the Guru, my mind was comforted. Which I think is, as I say, a powerful sentiment to be connecting to. But I want to talk about, well, how and why would that be possible? Because, you know, obviously, Guru Ram Das or Guru Nanak or Guru Gobind Singh is not standing right before each of us, you know, in a physical form. So how do we see the Guru? Right? When I saw the Guru. And so this makes me think of a concept that's actually in Japji and many other places. but the idea of Nadar Nihal, which means the glance of grace. That's a translation. It can be translated other ways. But it is this concept that the Guru may be in this sort of hidden, veiled place in our life, that we haven't developed a relationship to be able to see clearly the Guru's presence. And so we keep looking, but yet there's a kind of fog, and maybe there's a momentary little break in the fog, the veil is lifted for a moment, and we see the face of the Guru. But of course this is metaphor. So I'm not talking about perhaps seeing a likeness, a human likeness of one of the Gurus, but rather talking more deeply about Guru, not just a Guru, one of the 10 Gurus, but Guru meaning beyond form. There's two types of, when we talk about Guru, there is Sadgun Guru, which is in form. And so when the 10 Gurus were alive, you could perhaps be in their presence, and that would be Sadgun Guru, manifest, tangible. And yet also in that state of being Guru, they would be continuously in a relationship with those around them to serve to uplift the consciousness, right? And so that's one form of Guru. But there is this other form that I was sort of alluding to earlier, Nirgun Guru. In other words, that embodiment of Guru which is formless and yet also can be felt or perhaps seen. And I think that the way we most easily see this formless Guru is in the actions, or in the way that it plays out around us. That we see the hand of the Guru changing the course of events, or we hear the words of the Guru arriving into a conversation that that weren't there before, and suddenly there's a new perspective. And I have to say, this commonly arrives at the most unexpected time. Casual words from a stranger can have sudden and impactful, deep meaning, that you didn't expect. The words of a child are often, filled with such simple, innocent truth that we feel the presence of the Guru communicating to us directly through that child in that moment to help us see, to help us understand. So this feeling that you can see that glance of the Guru is a tremendous kind of energetic lift on the path. And it may not happen every day. It probably doesn't. But it can come as unexpected, but it can also come in the depth of meditation, where you connect to something very deeply, an experience that you're having. I find it often comes when I connect to Gurbani, to Shabad Guru, to the words of the Guru, that when I'm chanting, when I'm singing, there sometimes is such a devotional space that opens up, that I can feel the veil lifted, and I can feel that energetic connection to the divine presence of the Guru. And it may only last momentarily, but it's enough that it gives you, it's like the signs on the road, telling you, 50 miles left until you get to your destination, 20 miles left until you get to your destination. So this Nadar Nihal, this beautiful glance of grace, is like spurring us onward, on our path, letting us know that we are moving in the right direction, letting us know that we just need to keep going, you know. So I want to check the comments just to see if any of you have any particular questions or observations on this topic. We've got Mahan Sangeet, we have Shalom Yoga, welcome, and we have from Argentina Melen, and we have Rosalie Gaur and Satkirtan from Amsterdam. So welcome to all of you. So as I say, if any of you have any questions or you know, observations or something you want to share with this discussion, feel free to do so. There is a feeling often when I am chanting this particular Shabad of being transported into another location. And I've spoken about the connection of Guru Ram Das to the Golden Temple, Harimandir Sahib, Darbar Sahib, Amritsar, whatever name you want to relate to. There is often a feeling for me when I chant this Shabad of being transported to that place, but not in a literal way. I don't feel like I'm connecting to the geographical location as much as the energy of that place. You know, that I can feel the vibration of the Sangat there that have chanted for hundreds of years in that place. I can feel the energetic water that is in that tank that surrounds the Harimandir Sahib. And I feel all the prayers and all the devotion focused there. And it is like being able to sort of dip into that water, that bath, that energy, just feeling like it's just coming over me completely as I connect to that energy. That it is really, we talk about going to Amritsar and taking a dip in that water, and I have done that, and that's an amazing experience. But it's almost that all of us can do that through the energy of our meditation, through the grace of the Guru, in that moment to feel that immersion into the blessings and the energy and the support of the Guru as it manifests in these words. How does Guru manifest in words? So we talk about Shabad Guru, but it's awfully hard to really experience what we're talking about when we talk about that. So Shabad means word, or that which cuts the ego, a sound which cuts the ego. And Guru is that which takes us from dark to light. So Shabad Guru is the word that takes us from darkness to light, right? So we can read these words, they have particular translation and meaning, and they can be powerful in that realm, you know, of intellect, that they can move us, they can inspire us with the actual meaning of the words. But then on a psychophysiological level, there's the impact of chanting the words, moving our tongue in a particular rhythmic pattern that these words embody, and that itself has an effect on our consciousness. Through the rhythmic moving of the tongue, stimulates the hypothalamus, which then changes the blood chemistry through the pituitary. So there's physiological as well as psychic changes, you know, just by these words. These sounds of themselves elevate consciousness. And so what I try to remind people about is that, it's fine to listen, but when you move your mouth, when you say these words, they have a much more profound effect. In fact, I would say that it is the saying of the words that manifests and turns the nirgun, without form, guru, into sargun, something that can be experienced, something that's tangible. And that's what we can do with Shabad Guru, is by our saying the words, we bring that into form, that we can then experience it, right? So it's a powerful technology. Meilen, and I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, puts a question here. Let's see. She says, I feel the presence and those signs when reading the Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib, reading the Kirtan Soil at night. I'm particularly making a transition to Sikhism, and it's incredible how your life can change when you turn your path to the Guru. Absolutely. And I will tell you that you will have experiences along the way where you'll feel like for every step you take down this path, the Guru is taking 10 steps, 100 steps toward you. So a little effort can go a long way in this. Now, this is not what I'm about to say meant as a reprimand, but simply and maybe an upgrade to the conversation. I really try not to refer to this path as Sikhism, because there are connotations with isms, especially when it relates to organized religion, that can get a little murky and not ideal. So I feel that we are on a path of Dharma, a dharmic path, and that's why I prefer to relate to this as Sikh Dharma, or Sikh Dharma, however you wish to pronounce the first word, meaning that it is a path of consciousness that is expressed through specific practices, not simply philosophy, right? It's not just an ism. It's not just a set of ideas, but it's really about the experiential level that one can have through these practices. And so I encourage you all to just check that within your own consciousness and your choice of words as you speak about what this is and what you experience with it, and that may serve you. And as I say, Belen, this wasn't exactly, that comment wasn't just for you. It's really intended for all of us, just to elevate the conversation a little bit. Let's see what Kirandeep is saying here. She says, I think and feel that also comes through you to us as you sing. Well, perhaps, and as a kirtani, as a person who leads the kirtan, there may be that part of an equation that also happens where the kirtani, the musician, is doing their best to tap into that divine flow, and that perhaps in the way that they can communicate it at all to anyone there or listening, that there is a sharing of that experience. And I will tell you that, I often have wonderful experiences listening, chanting with other musicians. I love to do that. But there is a sort of more powerful experience available when you step into leading the kirtan. It takes you into a different realm of the experience, and it's powerful, and it takes some practice to be able to do that. with humility and with respect, respect for the experience, respect for the divine, and respect for those listening, so that you understand that you're serving all of that. And it's not just about what you are experiencing or what you can do, what you can have, what you get, but it's really about how you can simply step aside and let that experience happen for those that are with you or joining in the kirtan. So let's see what Satkriya has to say. She says, have you recorded your version? Oh yeah, it's been recorded years ago. Couple of different versions I have recorded, and the one I sang today is definitely on a recording called One Prayer, and you can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, Spirit Voyage, all of that. This recording, of course, will live on our Facebook page, so you can play it back later if you want to listen again. I do suspect, with all humility, that the recording is more easily listened to than the live version, simply because, in the recording you can take time to get things as clear and as you can, and also have other musicians with you, so you may find that experience a little better. So, and Sakriya, I see your other comment to chant daily with you. Well, with me. Well, I understand, and I think you should get that recording and then, or put it as in a playlist on your Spotify, and you can do that too. Can you find it on YouTube? I don't think it's on YouTube. To be honest, I just have never made the effort to put it there. So let's see what Mahan Sangeet is saying. Sargam. Is Guru in form, you say? No, not Sargam. So we got to get these words just clear. So Sargam is a word that refers to vocal exercises used by Indian singers to develop and strengthen their voices. And it goes sa re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa ma ga re sa, and lots of variations also. So that's Sargam. What I'm talking about is Sargun. Gun is the word for form, and Sargun means with form or in form, embodied, as opposed to Nirgun, which means without body or without form. And how can you explain in relation to sound? Well, as I say, the interesting thing is that when we chant, it's like the act of chanting, the actual singing and chanting, is bringing that nirgun, that formless, into a form that we can have an experience with, because it's sound. You hear it, I hear it, so it's exactly that. It's bringing the formless into form through our sound, through the chanting. You're asking about rag. Well, rag is just how to explain this. Rag is a style or form of music, specifically classical Indian music, and it was developed over a couple of thousand years in India, and I'm going to just move this out of the way here. One sec. There we go. Rag was developed, like our own Western music, is developed over hundreds of years. Rag developed over a couple thousand years, and it's a very formal, sometimes very rigid, systematic approach to composing musical forms. It's a set of rules. There are many, many, many ragas or rags. There's families of rags, that groupings together of different rags. And so these particular rags would have specific scale, specific notes, but the notes might be in one way going up when you go up the scale, but a different set of notes coming down. So you might have a composition that uses one note every time you happen to be going upward in the melody, but if you are coming down in the melody, you have to use a different note. Things like that. So it takes a long time to study, and there are teachers out there. If you want to study rag, and it's powerful when it's played well. The whole of the Siddha Guru Granth Sahib is in rag, meaning that it's organized around the compositions that were composed to be in a musical form of a specific rag. And so if you look at the contents, the whole contents of the Siddha Guru Granth Sahib, they are brought together by the rags that they were written in. And there are many people who in a very devoted way will play those compositions only in that rag that they were listed in. And then there are others who will play those or sing those shabads in other rags or in no rag, in Western melodies. And I particularly don't like to take a stand one way or the other on that. I feel like we should be accepting those people who want to do it in rag, they can do it in rag. People who don't want to do it in rag, they don't need to. That's what I feel. So, but it's certainly worth, it's a very valuable experience to incorporate, is to understand how the rag can work hand in hand with the Gurbani, with the Shabad Guru, and can be very powerful when it's done well. So let me see if there's any other comments. Looks like Jazz is saying here, let me see. During testing times in my life, I lose faith. Yeah, you're not alone, absolutely. And so quickly, no matter how hard I try to tell myself tell myself that don't lose faith, I then start to distance myself from God. Yeah, so Jazz, this is very common. We all have our moments of ups and downs. And first of all, I want to say that simply to say that it's normal doesn't make it easier. I know that. But it does, if you step back and take the perspective that in order for there to be light, we need to have darkness. In order for us to have joy, we have to have pain. And so in order for us to have faith, sometimes we have doubt. And these are the polarities in the universe that help us understand where we are, help us understand who we are. And it's the way that we answer those questions that help us get through each of the downs and notice the ups as well, and yet not to get too invested in one or the other. Like, okay, so I lost my faith, and I was depressed or I was angry yesterday, and today, it's different. Now I'm feeling engaged. I see a divine flow. I feel connected. I feel uplifted, and that's what that is. And know that it may not last. This is the experience we have in this human form, is to see that, and then eventually get to a place where it starts to affect our overall balance less and less. As we know that tomorrow could be a struggle, then we're more accepting when it arrives, more able to see beyond it, not to be caught just in that moment, but to live for all the moments, to put it all together in perspective, in the past, in the present, and in the future. Just to understand it is all the experience that we call life, or myself, or who I am. It's just how we understand it. And thank God that we do have those ups and downs. As I say, without contrast, it's really hard to see the clarity of things. I hope that's given you some insight on that. Some people like to talk about how God is in all parts of life. So feeling away from God when you are without faith or in an angry or depressed place, it can't possibly be that God is not there too. Many times situations are difficult in life, and we often can be affected by those situations, external situations, and we can notice how it's making us, the situation is making us angry, frustrated, whatever, and if we can just step back and do in what you see in the Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib, in the Gurbani, there's a word rahau. And it's often used after a line that is significant and important in meaning. Sometimes you'll see the word rahau. And often it's just translated as pause. But it really means more. It means pause and reflect. And so when we notice ourselves in a downward spiral, in the dumps, angry, frustrated, whatever, then if we can pause in our reaction to that, in our self-judgment, and just be in that reflective state, even just for a moment, enough. Take a breath, see it for what it is, forgive yourself. Don't get angry at yourself because you ended up there. Okay, so yeah, you played a role in it, but these things are hard, and sometimes they're really, really hard. So if we fall down, okay, I accept that. I fell down. I'm going to try, I'm going to get up, and I'm going to keep going. And tomorrow, maybe I won't fall down. And that's great. And if I fall down, I'll just, again, not be hard on myself. I'll get up, and I'll keep going. These things are not easy to establish in the short run, but over time, if you remind yourself again and again, when you're challenged, when you hit the wall, just remind yourself, pause, take a breath, understand, forgive, and accept, and then move on. Right? So those are things we can do in those moments. I think I'm going to wrap up. I don't see any further questions in the comments. So I want to thank all of you for sharing your questions, and for all of you who have been with us listening. Please do like this video and share it with friends. That will be really great and helpful to get the word out. I want to let you know that I'll be back here on Thursday doing a similar program, but also definitely chanting 11 minutes of Dandan Ram Das Guru. And on Friday, I have a different program where I interview kirtanis or kirtan musicians. Last week we had Hansu Jot from Germany, and this Friday will be Tan Taran Singh, who is more well known, even though he is American from the United States, he's more well known in Europe because he's a long time member of that community and teacher in that area and musician. So we're going to be talking to him. He's going to be playing the Mool Mantra, and so we'll talk with him about that too. And so I hope to see you on Thursday and Friday. And my blessings to you. Be well, stay safe, stay home if you can. Okay, Satnam, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.